Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode, and today we're talking all about wine, and I have an amazing guest with you today. Her name is Tricia Yanek. Tricia, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about wine. One of the things, I'm not a huge wine drinker, and the reason I haven't been in the past is because if I have one glass of wine, I literally just don't feel good. And so like I could have half a glass of wine and then I'd wake up the next day and feel terrible. But I could have two like Tito's with like a soda water and a splash of cranberry or a splash of fresh squeezed orange juice, and I'd wake up and feel fine. So because of that, I have a lot to do. I have a lot going on. I want to feel like $1,000,000 when I wake up the next day. And every time I would have wine, I wouldn't feel good. So talk about what is the reason why someone could literally have half a glass of wine and wake up the next day and feel awful.
Right, and so that's what this whole wine movement is about, and the wine that we're speaking about today. So, and unbeknownst to me and many other people, the things that are allowed by the FDA to be included in the wine, up to 250 chemicals are allowed by the FDA to go into our wine. I had no idea I was drinking chemicals when I was enjoying my wine. Up to 16 grams of sugar can be in our wine. I mean, that's equivalent to
in one bottle
glazed donut.
So in one bottle of wine,
right,
they could
correct.
Put up to 16 grams of sugar.
Correct. Also, there are fining agents that are used in wine, making them non-vegan, and we can talk about that later. But there are many things, sulfites included, many conventional.
So they add sulfites, add chemicals, and the FDA doesn't, like literally you could pick up a bottle of wine and it doesn't tell you all the things that are in it.
No, you would never know. A conventional bottle could have up to 340 parts per million is how sulfites are measured. Now, sulfites are a naturally occurring substance. You find them on grapes, on onions, on a lot of different things. However, the wines that we're talking about today have very low sulfites in them.
Can you grab me that wine real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the wine that we're talking about today. This, in my opinion, is the cleanest wine that you can find. If you're listening to this on a podcast, go to our YouTube channel or go to chantelrayway.com so you can see the wine I'm talking about. But this is the cleanest wine that you're going to be able to find and the lowest sugar. Talk about the sugar. So this bottle of wine has how much sugar?
So that particular bottle of wine, and I'm talking about a liter of that wine in particular, is 0.3 of 1 gram for 1 whole liter of wine.
Yeah,
that's
fantastic.
Yeah. So speaking of back, like keto diets, clean diets, this wine, the grapes are vinified to full dryness to begin with, which means there's very low residual sugar on those grapes when they start the process of the winemaking. And from then, there's no sugar added. And so that's how you come up with such a residual.
So talk about the fact that if I went right now to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's and I went to go look for an organic wine, what is the difference between an organic wine and this wine right here?
So this wine right here has a label that is stamped on it that says not only is it organic, meaning they were grown organically, but there are no chemicals added. There are low sulfites. So ours fall usually about 50 parts per million, and we spoke about the 340 that you could compare that to.
So wouldn't you say probably an average bottle of wine probably has 200
at least
200 or more milligrams
parts per million
of sulfites in it.
Right.
And this wine is guaranteed that it has less than
100.
Less than 100?
Usually sits about 50.
It sits around 50.
And so for me personally, that was a huge headache factor. I could drink this wine and not have a headache. And I think from my personal experience, that's the sulfite factor. And perhaps it's the chemicals as well. But going back to finding an organic bottle at the grocery store, yes, that bottle that you find at the grocery store might say made with organic grapes. However, it does mean it started out as organic grapes, but on the back end of that winemaking process, they're able to add those chemicals and still say it's made with organic grapes. So be careful if you're buying it from the grocery store thinking that you are getting a really clean wine.
Now, what's the price points for these wines?
So they range anywhere from 19 to 79 currently for what we have.
So what is your favorite? Is this one right here,
so
this
that's
bookbinder,
my all-time
your favorite?
is the bookbinder.
Okay.
It's a cab blend out of California. I have a lot of favorites. There's a really great Argentinian Malbec that I love. I love our bubbles. I love our
And
rosé.
this wine right here is how much?
That is a $68 bottle.
Okay, so this is a $68 bottle. Can we give one of these away?
We can.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to give, if you go onto our Facebook page right now, we're going to give one lucky person a bottle of this bookbinder wine, and it is a Cabernet. Is Cab your favorite wine?
It is. Yeah, Cab's my favorite.
So if you love Cabs, this is the one that you need to try. And again, go to chantelrayway.com/wine and you can find more information there. So let's jump right into the listener questions now. This one is from Jillian in Oklahoma. She says, I've heard that champagne is one of the lowest carb options as far as drinks in the wine family. What are some other low sugar wines I can try if I'm watching my carbs? Well, this is one of them for sure.
Yeah, so all of our wines are low residual sugar. 3 grams or less per liter is amazing. You won't find that in a conventional bottle. Again, they're vinified to full dryness on the grapes and then no sugar added on the backside.
So none of the wines have more than 3 grams?
Correct.
And most of them have less than 1 gram?
Correct.
So if you go onto the site, you'll be able to see which ones have what grams of sugar.
That's correct.
Which is really important because if you go buy a bottle of wine anywhere else,
you would never know.
You're not going to know how much sugar is in there. And like you said, it could have up to 8 grams or more of sugar. Hey guys, we absolutely love getting your questions into the podcast, but we're also interested in your journey. So if you've started intermittent fasting and have some success or even struggling a little bit, we want to hear about it. Email me your intermittent fasting stories to chantel@chantelrayway.com. Now back to the show. All right, Lauren in Charleston. I'm always on a hunt for a clean wine because I can't handle the hangover. I've tried different organic wines I found at Whole Foods and Fresh Market, but I still feel crummy after a glass or two. I've recently learned that America's organic wines can still contain sulfates. Is this true? And what makes an organic wine truly organic? And how can I make my best decisions with the wine out there?
Right. Okay. So going back to sulfites are naturally occurring.
So you won't be able to find a glass of wine without sulfites in it. That's just the bottom line.
There might be some that are in Europe. I think we've had one that we've carried before. In order to transport a wine, it needs some sulfites in it. It doesn't need a lot, and that's what we do is check the sulfite level to make sure that it's not high. Again, it's anywhere under 100 is how you'll find
and most
the
of them are 50 or less.
Around 50 or less, right?
And so she says, what makes an organic wine truly organic?
So what we do is we take the wine. First, they're curated from all over the world, all different countries. Once they find a vineyard that says they're actually growing organically, we bring that bottle back here. One bottle goes to UC Davis, which is the largest viticulture school in the country, and the other goes to another third independent tester. Those tests have to come back with no chemicals added, no sugar added, low residual sugar, and low sulfites. And when that all happens, then it gets our label stamped on it, and it says this, in fact, is truly organic, truly no chemicals added, and it's a guarantee.
I love that. That's awesome. All right, Christine in California. I've always assumed wine was vegan, but I was shocked to find out that all wine is not vegan. I found this to be so strange. Isn't wine just grapes? And what makes a wine not vegan? And how can I find out which wines are and which ones aren't? That's a great question.
Yeah, and so this is something that I had no idea. And I would assume, I think that sometimes they're labeled vegan in the store, and that probably is true if it is in fact vegan. But what happens is wine usually goes through a fining process, and that process takes out proteins, it takes out cloudiness in the wine, also yeast. And fining agents can be shellfish, it can be bone marrow, it can be eggs, it can be milk casein, and those things actually bind the impurities out of the wine. So ours are vegan and guaranteed.
So there might be if you go to chantelrayway.com/wine, there might be one or two that are not vegan.
And it would state it.
But it will state it on there, but the majority of them are vegan.
That's true. In the last year, I haven't seen one wine that has been non-vegan. But moving forward, there is a chance we could have one, but it would be stated on that label, on the description of the wine on the website.
And that's just it's the agent that they're using to filter that wine, whether it's egg or fish or whatever it is. I'd love to show, I think what I'm going to do is put a video of that so people can see if you go to our YouTube, because you need to see how it works to see that process. And people, I mean, who would know that, you know?
Right, correct. No, I didn't.
I mean, you just think of I think of wine as, you've seen the Lucille Ball episode of I Love Lucy, where she's has her bare feet and she's sitting there, with the grapes, and that's what you think. And that's why you think, hey, with this wine, the reason why there's no ingredients on there is because all wine is just grapes and water. Right. But that's not true.
It's not, but ours is. It's just grapes.
Yes.
And it's the way it was intended to be. It's not manipulated to make it taste a certain way. It's intended the way it comes off of the wine.
And I can tell you I'm proof, because I have drank a glass of this wine and I've done a demo. You should try it, right?
Absolutely.
Do a demo. And if you feel like, hey, I wake up the next day, I have a glass of wine. Now, if you have 20 glasses, we're not going to guarantee it, right? But try 1 or 2 glasses, and if you wake up with a headache, you return it to me and we'll give you a refund, because we know you're not gonna have the same kind of headache that you do with a regular wine.
Yeah, from personal experience, I definitely do not have a headache drinking this wine. It's incredible. I think everybody needs to experience not only that, just the feeling that you have the next day after drinking this wine. You feel great. You want to go to the gym. You want to get up and do things where with a conventional bottle, you may feel cloudy or just not yourself. It's a big difference, and I encourage everybody to try it.
That's awesome. All right, last question. Jamie in Bangor, which I have no idea where Bangor is.
I don't either.
I've never been someone who suffers from heartburn, but recently I've noticed that the day after I drink wine, especially red, I have major heartburn. Wine is literally the only thing I can track this heartburn back to, the only variable that it could be. What is in the wine that causes heartburn, and are there different types of wine I should be drinking to prevent this? And cutting out wine is not an option, LOL. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. So what kind of advice do you have for Jamie that has heartburn when she drinks wine?
Yeah, so Jamie, I understand the not giving up the wine. I have heard that about red wine. I don't know the science behind it. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't know exactly why red causes more heartburn than white, but you don't have to give up the wine. Stick with the whites. And I would give Scout and Cellar a try.
Yeah, and I think that it really has to do with your digestive enzymes and kind of your gut microbiome, that what is that red wine doing to the alkalinity of your gut. And so that's what I would look at. But yeah, I would just, if after you have red, right, you've got major heartburn, try just the white and see what happens. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And again, if you want to try this amazing wine, go to chantelrayway.com/wine and check it out. And we're giving away this free bottle of wine. And this is a very expensive bottle, supposedly the best one and everyone has different tastes,
exactly.
right?
And that's the beautiful thing about wine.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're giving this away. Go to our Facebook page and be one of those lucky winners. And if you have a question that you want answered, go to questions@chantelrayway.com. We'll see you next time.